What's up guys, Biologist here, doing another gameplay for Transformers Fall of Cybertron. This time I'm doing what should be my standard loadout, but I actually somehow made a mistake and I have Whirlwind on instead of the Flak Shield. But I'm just going to go on and discuss the Flak Shield as if I did have it. So my standard loadout for the Titan is the Energon Harvester with the Reaper upgrade. Now the reason I take the Energon Harvester is because the gun is really strong. It allows you to heal yourself and does a fair amount of damage. So the only, I've tried the other two upgrades. I don't like them personally at all. So I stick with the Reaper, get extra healing done out of it. So that's what I will continue to do with the gun. I don't plan on changing that. When I use the Energon Harvester, that's more of a close range weapon. So my major combo with it when I'm using it is kind of like fire 2 shots, melee if I'm close enough, and then fire 2 shots, melee, and then fire the last 2 shots, and then melee, and then let the gun reload. That's what I normally do. If they're out of your melee range, I would try using the shield to negate any damage while you're trying to get closer to them, or something like that. But that's just a side note. Then my secondary weapon is the Scrap Maker. Yes, it's the new weapon. Tons of people in the community will agree with me and call it that all the time. In fact, I don't know anyone else not calling it a noob except maybe Scrap, and I'm pretty sure Scrap would still call it that as well. But it's the giant machine gun. Just hold on the trigger and aim. The 2 upgrades I prefer to use in this is the wind-up decrease or the accuracy increase. Both of which are good. I feel the accuracy is more from a mid to long range perspective and even close range, where I feel as the wind-up is more definite close range because you're not worried about accuracy. You're kind of just pulling the trigger into a giant mess because you're just going to fire it faster than if you didn't have the wind-up decrease. So those are my 2 weapons. I use the Scrap Maker to deal with jets and to deal with kind of like anyone mid-range, or in the terrifying case when I'm out of ammo for my Energon Harvester. When I play Titan, I usually go with the Grimlock chassis for a few reasons. I feel the Grimlock chassis is narrower than the other chassis, so it makes you a little bit of a smaller hitbox. Yes, it's probably longer because of the tail. It also has a different angle from which it fires its cannon. It fires it from Grimlock's mouth, so it's a little higher than the other tanks. So I feel like that allows you to shoot it over some kind of terrain that you wouldn't normally be able to shoot it over. Also, I just love being Grimlock, so it works out for me. When I play the Titan, I am an extremely aggressive player. I just go hunt people. I go around looking for my next victim. Yes, there's sometimes I get beat. In fact, it happens quite often. I'm only human, I make mistakes. But so that's what I generally do. I do not like to sit back and tank for 4 or 5 big guys. I'll take the damage and you guys flank or something like that. No, I'm the guy going in there and just going to go mess everything up. I'm going to get in their face and cause trouble. Fighting each of the classes specifically as the Titan. Fighting against other Titans, I feel it's if you're both using the Scrap Maker, I feel like it's kind of just who shoots first and who lands the most shots. So it depends on accuracy and who gets the first shot, so I would call that fight. In terms of the Energon Harvester, oh god, I hate these fights when you have 2 Titans shooting each other with Energon Harvesters. You have to land your melees when you're in that fight, because the Harvesters, assuming you both have Reaper on, the Harvester healing will negate each other essentially, or whoever gets the second shot off will have the most health because they just healed last. So I've had so many fights like this go both ways. The major thing I can tell you in doing this fight is you gotta land your melees. If you're facing someone and he lands 2 shots in a melee and you only land 2 shots, or 3 shots, I'm pretty sure he's still going to be ahead damage-wise. So you got to make sure you land those melees, and you got to try to avoid there. So if you get a melee and then you try to dash left right away or dash right, that's great, because that way you can usually dodge a melee and therefore get an advantage in that fight. But so you always got to try melee, so it does a lot of damage, it helps you out a lot. So especially when you're fighting another Titan. Using against the slime gun, It kind of sucks because the slime gun's just going to slow you down, and you're already the slowest class. So they're just going to kite you more, which is a real pain. So in that kind of case, if they're kiting you, I would imagine using the scrap maker against that, and you don't have to try to get close to them because you can just use the scrap maker to shoot them a bunch of times. Whereas the Energon Harvester, you kind of got to be close. The against the tech volt thing, whatever that thing is called, I do not use it at all. I have been killed by it a few times, and I've tried it, and I still do not like it. I am yet to see a game where it's been like, oh my god, that gun is so amazing. And I'm still yet to see that quality in it, so I'm not going to use it. I'm going to stick with what I normally stick with. Moving on to the Destroyer, the next biggest class. I feel like fighting the Destroyers, as long, I mean, they have a really big hitbox, like not as big as yours, but it's pretty big in comparison. So long as you can land the shots, you should be pretty good. The things you need to look out for is running straight at them, because they'll just blow you up with thermal rockets or any of the other explosives they have. Another major thing is you gotta watch out for that barrier. That barrier, especially the slow one, because like, if they're on the other side of it, and like, you're trying to kill them and you walk through that barrier, you're just gonna get yourself killed. That barrier is going to wreck you. So if you see them with the slow barrier, so like you'll see it right now, it's like those little orange, like yellow hexagons inside the barrier. Be very, very cautious. If you run through that thing, you're going to be as slow as a snail and you're a sitting duck waiting to die. Against the other barriers, it's not that bad, but something you need to look out for is that I do this when I play the Destroyer, and I've seen tons of other people do it. Is the Destroyer will roll and dash in between or on either side of his barrier. So if you go inside of it and he'll just jump out of it, you still can't shoot through it. And he can still shoot you. So in those cases, if it's kind of like a doorway, I wouldn't even mess with it. I would go to flank or distract or something, but I wouldn't try fighting that, because if they dash in and out of that barrier, it's going to be really hard for you to hit them or even get any damage whatsoever. So you got to be careful with those Destroyer barriers, and especially if they're placed in the right location, they're a pain to deal with. So you got to pick a smart fight when you go against that one. Another thing to watch out for, this goes against the other things I've said, is the Titan's close range class, like I mentioned before. However, when you're fighting Destroyers, you need to know what kind of barrier they're using, if they're using a barrier at all. Because if you run against someone, I don't know who, maybe Phantasm was the one that did this to me. But I was kind of like running at him, and he just turned and put out the barrier, and I was slowed because I was standing right where the barrier would have been. So that's a great tactic to use against the Titan. But when you're trying to deal with that, you just got to be safe about it and try to avoid going through the slow barrier. And he gets me a lot with it in this video. Give him props there. He played very well. He definitely outsmarted me and outplayed me. So that's gotta give props and props to do. Moving on to when fighting the scientists. Those flying little devils. They are all over the place. I would not advise using an Energon Harvester on them when they're in the jet mode flying around, because you will probably never hit them. What I would do against the scientists when they're flying around is always use the scrap maker. I think of it as an anti-aerial weapon. It works. You're just trying to get fire on them. I have no idea how many bullets it takes, but I know that if you can keep it on them for a little while, you should be able to kill them every time. When they're up close with you and they're fighting in robot mode, I would still say either weapon is effective against them. However, you really need to watch out for the ones that use the rust turrets. The rust turrets are just like the slow shield from the Destroyer. They're a complete pain. Especially if they get you in it, you're going to be like a sitting duck. So you need to watch out for those. And again, just try to apply the multiple shots of the Energon Harvester and melee to get rid of them. And try to avoid getting caught out in the open, because if they have a height advantage on you, or they're up in like kind of like a bird's nest shooting you with like a photon cannon, it's going to be really hard for you, because you can't really do anything about it. You just kind of got to take the damage, because you can't really return the fire accurately at them. So you gotta try to force them into combat so that it's good for you. If you try forcing them into locations where they're gonna be able to kite you and shoot you, you're probably gonna die, and it's not gonna be good. So always try to engage scientists if it's on your terms. And yes, I realize scientists are a very mobile class, and they're usually the ones that do the engaging. So try not to be out in the open asking to be engaged on them. So try to make sure you stay inside buildings, or you stay inside cover, so that if they come at you, you have the advantage, not them. Then dealing with the little guys, dealing with the scouts, those mobile little guys, man, they they're the hardest ones to land the shots on because they move so quick. So you have to make sure you land your shots. It's probably the biggest thing you have to do against them. You have to make sure you land them. If you don't, you're just going to die to them. In pertains to the sniper rifle, I don't think, as of right now, you're going to see very many of them. I think you'll see a few here and there. But it's not, the sniper rifle is nowhere close to as effective as how it was. So I don't think you'll be seeing many of those to deal with. You'll mainly be dealing with path blasters, shotguns, and the SMG. All of which are a pain. I know the path blaster is a very strong weapon. The SMG is ridiculously strong. It's what I use. Shotgun's alright. What you gotta watch out for is you have to make sure you fight them smart. Because they're so quick, they're gonna be able to move around you, especially if they have like the EMP redirector. So if you get hit by the EMP, you definitely want to try pulling out your shield and defending yourself while it's up. And then in terms of trying to fight them, they can dash around you all the time. So you just gotta try to keep fire on them, try and anticipate where they're going, because it's the only thing you can really do against them. And also, when you're fighting a scout, if you can get up behind them, it's wonderful, because they can't really do anything if you get that up close. So again, just try to stay up close to the Titan. Be in their face, be aggressive. If you feel like you're the kind of person who likes to do the tanking strategy, do that for you. But these are my tips for playing the Titan. I'm sure I missed some, so if I missed anything, leave a comment below. Maybe even some advice. I will get back to you right away. I will do whatever it takes. If you think there's something I should try, go ahead, leave me the comment, and I'll do it. But besides that, take care, guys. I'll be posting another video soon.